Hey, 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 Bloomin' Sales. We are back for a little bit more training. Hopefully, you got some sustenance in your bellies. If you're on the East Coast, I know it's super late for you, and I'll probably catch you tomorrow on replay, and that's totally fine too. When you join us, make sure you say hello so that I know you're here and we're connected and everything is good and you guys can hear. And tonight, this segment, I'm going to teach you how to use Phonto. So Phonto is one of my favorite apps. It's an app that I've been using since I started doing Facebook parties about 6.5 years ago. It does have a little bit of a learning curve. I wouldn't say that it's something that you can use just straight out of the box. And I still learn things about Phonto every now and again. So it does kind of have a learning curve to it, but I thought I would share with you kind of my basic process so that you can create your own memes for your Facebook parties and beyond, for whatever you want to create it for whatever social media platform you want to put some memes on. You'll be able to do that, have it branded, have it look like you, and you can really start to define your business and the branding that goes along with your business. So I thought I'd spend some time tonight showing you guys that. Again, the app is called Phonto. I posted a picture of what the icon looks like in the group already. So if you haven't downloaded it, now would be a good time to download it. I will say there is a $4.99 charge. I think it's $4.99. It was when I downloaded it all those years ago, and I tell people all the time, and they haven't told me that it's any different. But I think it's a $4.99 charge if you want the full-blown version, and I would recommend that. It's a one-time charge. Like I said, I've been using the app for 6.5 years for my Facebook party, so I've definitely gotten my money's worth out of it. So if you want to invest in it, if you're going to do Facebook parties, I recommend you spend the $5. All right. So let's go ahead and take a peek. Let me make sure that we are rocking and rolling. Hold on just a second. Let me make sure we're connected. Because once I show you my screen, I'm like locked in. Okay, it looks like we're good. So I know it's late and many of you guys might not be able to join me live, and that's totally okay. I'm just gonna rock and roll through this, all right? So let me show you. This is what's on my phone right now because I just double checked to make sure that I had connection. So all you're going to do is you're going to open up the app, and this is what it's going to open up to. It's a completely blank screen for you guys. If you've ever used any sort of publishing tool before, this is where I think people might get hung up, is because there's no blank canvas. You get to actually set your canvas in a backdrop, and you want to think of it almost like a traditional artwork board where this is where you're picking your canvas and what it's going to look like on the background, and then you're going to be able to pick your fonts and add photos and that kind of thing. So it really is, if you were designing like a paper version of a meme, this is kind of the process you would go through. You would pick like your canvas or your paper or whatever first, and then you're going to layer things on top of it. So this shows up as this shows up as a blank canvas. And if you just want to do a plain white background, that is the most Facebook friendly meme that you can do, is a plain white background. And it really makes the colors and the wording and the product pop out. So I recommend in the beginning, that's probably what you do. So you're just going to click these three lines down in here on the bottom left-hand corner. No, I'm sorry. You're going to click the camera. Sorry. It's hard to do and talk at the same time. So you're going to click the camera right in the middle, and then you're going to select plain images. And then this is going to give you some backdrops that you can use. You can scroll down. There's all different options in here. And then within each one of those canvases, sometimes there's additional choices. So let's take a look at, like, say, a polka dot one. Within this polka dot, if you click on the pattern, you can actually change the size of the polka dots. You can change the color and texture for the polka dots. So there's all different options in here, and that's going to be what your backdrop is going to look like. Now, I do recommend, for the most part, you really just use a black backdrop. So I'm going to go back out of this, or I'm sorry, a white backdrop. So I'm going to go back out of this, and I'm going to select white in the top right corner. Now, it's going to default to not a true white. I don't know why it does that, but it defaults to a little bit of a color. So if you just click on that color button, You can actually select a bunch of different colors. If you wanted to change the background from white to just a plain color, you could do that here. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come in and you can see the color rating. All colors have a number associated with them. You can see it defaults to 250 on all the color palettes. But true white on Facebook, the white background so that it doesn't look like there's an image there, is actually 255. So if you click that all the way to the left, white, it's going to switch it to 255. Okay, so I'm going to switch that to 255 so that I have a plain white background. Again, if you want to make colored backgrounds, crazy backgrounds, you can do that. Some general design tips I would recommend is that you don't go too crazy, because most people are scrolling on Instagram and on Facebook. They're just scrolling and looking at the images. So you want them to be, you want their eye to catch the most important part, which is the product and the price. That's what people are looking for. So sometimes people say my memes are really boring, and they are. Even though I could design them a lot fancier and I can add a lot of textures and those kind of things, sometimes plainer is better. Okay, so for this, I'm just going to do a plain white background because that is what I recommend that you guys do the most of. And then in the top right corner, I'm going to click apply. Okay, then in the middle, you can see it's 2048 by 2048. It's going to make a square meme for me. If I wanted to change that and do like a Facebook header, I could do that here. It has some social media recommendations, proportions, that kind of stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and leave it square. But just so you know, you can make your canvas size whatever size you want. And if you wanted to type in a custom size, you could do that too. So whatever type of artwork that you're creating, you want to think about that when you're selecting your canvas size. But I'm going to go ahead and leave it square because that's Instagram friendly and that's Facebook friendly. So I'm going to leave it square right now. And then you're going to hit that button in the top right that looks like a go button. And I'm going to use that canvas. Okay. So I'm using that canvas. Now's the really easy part, you guys, and this is where it gets kind of fun because you get to actually design things. So think about your canvas is set. I'm going to go back to that camera where I opened up the canvas, and I'm going to go to my photo albums, and I'm going to pick a product. And I hope I have a picture of a product in here. You're going to flip through my pictures. I have all kinds of weird stuff. So we'll just take a picture of my son, okay? So this is a picture that I have in my camera roll. If you had pictures of products, you can roll that right out of your camera roll. I'm going to take a picture of my son, and I'm going to put it on this canvas, okay? So I'm going to say done. That's the one I want, and it's going to fill, I'm sorry. I actually made a mistake there. So I actually selected that picture as the canvas. So I'm going to take that out. I don't want to do that. I want to reset it to a plain canvas. I'm so sorry. It's hard to talk and do this at the same time. Okay, so I'm going to set a plain canvas again, and I'm going to add an image. And this is where I'm going to add my son. So if you want to use an image as your canvas, you can definitely do that. If you want to use, add an image to the canvas, which is what I recommend, this is where you're going to do that. Okay, so I've selected his image, and if I were using a product, if you look on that bottom, how it has all these shapes, that's if I want it to crop the image when I go to put it in. So I'm going to crop him like a circle, okay? And you can move that around. You can adjust the size a little bit. Well, he's a square image, so there's no play for me. But I can also make it more oval if I want to make it oval, either direction, just by sliding that bar. So you have lots of options on how you want to crop that image if you want to crop that image, okay? So I'm just going to crop it like a circle, and you can now see that I have a circle on here, and I can move that around, make it more interesting. That's something that'll make your artwork more interesting. Here's another thing that I think makes your artwork more interesting, your memes more interesting, is if you add other textures to it. So in here, you can select add item, and then you can pick one of these shapes, or you can pick, like if you want to have a thought bubble or a speech bubble, you can add those there. Some basic shapes for you. So you can add these things, kind of give it some texture and some personality. I find myself using this round with a border often. Like I use that shape often. And it's going to default to however you added it last time. That's the default color that it's going to set it. But again, you can click on it and change the color to whatever you want. So I'm going to change it to this blue color. You can even go as far as to manually change that color within the color so you're not stuck to the color that they have suggested. But I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then again you can click on it, change the size if you want to make it bigger or smaller. If you don't want it to be exactly round, you can change the width. or the height and adjust it, okay? I'm gonna make that a little bit smaller. So I'm gonna add that to the image, and then when I click on his picture, the last thing you've clicked on with your finger is the thing that's gonna be on the top layer. So if I click on this circle, see how it's on top of Lincoln's face now? But if I click on Lincoln, it's now on top of that. So the last thing you click on is gonna be your top layer. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave that there, and I'm gonna set this as a border for his picture. And then I'm gonna add some text. So again, you go down to those 3 lines. Before I add text, I want to add one more thing. So I'm going to add another item. I'm going to add a star. Again, I can make it big or small. And I'm going to make this gray in color. Okay, now I'm going to add some text. To add some text, all you're going to do is you're going to click on the canvas, and it's going to give you a pop-up menu that says Add Text. You click Add Text, and then you type whatever you want to type on here. Okay. Once you have that text typed, now it's defaulting to white because I do a lot of this where I put the white on a colored background, but you can change the color of that text just like you can anything else. So just click on that text again, select style, and you can change this to different colors if you want the colors to be if you want your text to be a different color. But there's so much more to this than you can, you can get 100% creative with this. So if I were to click on using the top menu, I'm in the color palette right now, but if I were to click on style, I can actually change how far apart the letters are from, the lines are from each other. I can change how far apart the letters are. I can underline it if I want to have it underlined, and I can use a dot or a solid line. So lots of different options in here. You can play and really get creative and make those fun. Another thing that I use a lot of is the shadow tab. And this is just going to give it almost like a 3D effect. So it makes the letters pop out a little bit more. That's a really good option if you're using something that is similar in color. So if you're doing like a white canvas and maybe you're using a font that's a lighter color, then you can use that shadow and make that font pop out a little bit more. Hey, Amber. So there's lots of things that you can do in here. And then again, it's not only an option to change the font size, but you can add a stroke to it, which is like an outline color to it. So if you click on that stroke, you can decide what color stroke you want to have on there. So I'm going to have a blue stroke, and I'm going to make it really thick, or I'm going to make it really thin using the width. Okay, so you can decide how much stroke you want to have on the image or on the lettering. So that's pretty cool, right? And then the background is if you want to add a color to the background. So that would just be like highlighting it. You can do that too. Okay, so I would encourage you to use this font area and really get creative. That's an opportunity where you can get creative and not distract from the image, from the basic product image that you're trying to highlight. So get creative in that letter area, that font area, and you can make your images really creative. A couple design tips that I have for you guys. Obviously, that is way ugly, what I just did. There's a couple things that I would recommend that you do. You want to think in thirds when you're setting up your canvas. So you want to think if you were to divide the paper in thirds horizontally or divide it vertically, then you want to have an accent in one of the thirds. So you don't want to have it so busy that there's stuff all over the place. So you just want to kind of think in thirds. I'm going to trash that because that looks terrible. And then the other thing that I would say is, again, what is the focus of the meme? Like, what is your goal with this meme? If it's to have a focus on the product, then you want that to be front and center, nice and big. So if Lincoln were the product and I were selling it, I would want to make that nice and big. Again, if I tap his image, it's going to put him on top. So I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. The other thing that's nice is when you're on this or on anything, any of the elements that you have added to your canvas, hey Michelle, hey Kathy, you can actually default move it. So if you see I have this selected, I have him selected, you can change the size like we talked about before, that changes the size. Okay, and again, I can change the width or the height separately. Another thing that you can do is tilt, and you're not going to be able to see that super well on his picture. Oh, I guess you will because it's his face. So if I wanted to spin this around, I could tilt it. Okay, so if I wanted it angled, that can kind of add some interest to it, right? Make it a little bit angled. So I could do that. But under move, this is something that's kind of handy, is you can use your arrows to slide everything around. But the one on the left-hand side that has the A with the arrows pointing into it, that's going to center it left to right. So it's going to put it in the center of your canvas. The other one is going to center it up and down. So it's going to put it smack dab in the center of your canvas. That's a really easy tool to make sure that you have everything kind of lined up properly. Okay, so I didn't have that. I want him on top. Okay, so that is... that's something annoying about Phonto is when you're working in the layers like that, you have to make sure that if your bottom layer is going to be bigger, you have to deal with that one first, and then you can move your top one in. Okay, so I'm going to slide that right on top. Nice big picture. You guys imagine that's a product, nice big product that you want to have. I'm going to take that star off. And then just to give it some, a little bit of flair, the products are nice and big in the center, but you don't always want to have them right smack dab in the center because you're going to want room to write your words, right? So I'm going to move this down just a little bit. I'm going to keep it centered left to right. Whoops, I don't want to go off the canvas. I'm going to keep it centered left to right, but I'm actually going to move this down a little bit. And I'm just going to center it up so that I like it. And then I'm going to type at the top. Oh, again, I did that really fast. I'm sorry. So I'm going to click on the canvas, add text, and then I'm going to type here, Lincoln Rocks. Okay. And again, I can change the font. There's tons of font choices in here, you guys, so you can get really creative with your fonts, whatever you're going to do with those. So let's do this Cody Star one. Look at how fun that is. It's kind of hard to read. I'm going to change it again because I don't like that. Okay, so lots of different font choices, and you can set them up as a favorite if you want to. So when you click on that star underneath, if you want that to be one that you use all the time, if you want it to be a favorite of yours, you just go into it and click on the star, and it's going to add it to your favorites list. So once you kind of get in the rhythm of things, you'll probably find some fonts that you like. My fonts is if you want to install fonts that you have on your computer. I don't think very many of you guys use that. Just to give you some information about Tupperware's fonts. So the word Tupperware is Helvetica New Bold. So if you want to type the word Tupperware on your picture, then you're probably going to want to do it in that Helvetica New Bold because that's what's going to look the most like the actual logo. Okay, so you can see that kind of looks like the Tupperware logo. Well, it doesn't kind of look like it. It is the Tupperware logo. It doesn't have the registered symbol. You could add that in there. Now, I usually don't add that into my artwork just because I don't care enough to spend the time to do it. But if you wanted to do that, you could definitely do that. What you're going to do is you're going to click on the canvas again, add text. And instead of adding just text, you're going to click right here and go on symbol. And then you're going to look at all these different symbols that you can add. You're going to do a registered trademark. Close that, and you can see it defaults to larger than what it would actually be on the word. So you got to shrink it down, then you're going to move it into place. And that is why I don't ever put the registered trademark on, because it's all these extra steps and nobody cares. So, but if you wanted to do that, that's how you could do that. One symbol that I do use a lot, and I do think it adds some interest to your images, is if you go back into text, click on symbol. I think these arrows can be really exciting when you're talking about something and then you want to point to it. So select the arrow. Again, you can make it wide. You can tilt it if you want to tilt it. And I always like to add a little bit of a stroke, and then I like to add a little bit of shadow on that. Oops, that stroke is a little bit too much for me, so I'm going to go back into the style, whoops, the color, and I'm going to minimize that stroke, so it's just a little bit of a stroke. But see how it's put the shadow on it? It makes that very interesting to look at, easy to point to, something fascinating, right? So I love to use this program for all different things. That's if you're creating something from a total blank slate. That would be how you would do it. Now let's take a look at the artwork that I uploaded to you in our Facebook group is uploaded as an album. And so it's going to take you some time to set up your Facebook party memes, but you only have to set them up one time and then you can set it and forget it. So let me show you how to do that. I'm going to go ahead and reset this. We're going to start completely over with a blank slate. And then what I've done is I've actually saved all of those blank JPEGs into my Phonto as a template. So what I would do is I would click that camera again, as just like I did when I was loading up a blank canvas, but I'm going to go into my projects area. And I have certain things in here that I have saved, but you can see I have a lot of the blank templates in here. These are just like what I put on the Facebook group for you. So you can go into the Facebook group, select those images into your camera roll, and then open up Phonto, open up the image, and save it as a project. Okay, so this is the base of a project. So all I did is this is just images that I have saved into my projects. If I wanted to save another one, I'll walk you through step by step so you guys can get it. So I would go camera, photo album, and then I'm going to pick something. One of the images, let's see. I don't think I have the blank ones in my camera roll anymore. Hold on. Okay, let's just do this because we're going to be promoting some new managers, right? So I would pick one of the images. I would say done. And then I'm going to click this arrow on the bottom right. And I'm going to save to project or save project. That's going to put it in my project manager so that next time I come into Phonto, if I want to upload or if I want to actually complete that project and put a face and a name on there, then I can just go back into my project area and there it is. I can add to it right there. What's awesome about Phonto is when you're saving a project, if you have elements that you've added, so say for example, I've added a name to this. Like I'm going to add, who should I add to this? I'm going to add Leah to this because she's going to be our next manager. So I'm going to add Leah's name to this. Okay, if I were to save this as a project, oops. So I'm going to go back in here, save as a new project. Then the next time that I come in here and I open this project, the element that I just added is movable. Like I can take that off. It's not an image. Even though it saved it and it looks like an image, those things are still editable. So that's the power of a project. So if you wanted to save or pull up a project that you've done, let's say like this Kabingo. I recently made that as a project. I can go in here, I can take this off, I can move that away from the canvas. I can come in here and change that company name to something else. For example, this originally when I made this meme, it said Online Bingo Bash. I came in here and I changed it to say Kabingo Bash. So by saving those projects, it makes those elements editable again. So you can come back to it and create that brand that you're looking for. So if you always have the black and white dots and maybe you always have the pink circle, you can create a bunch of projects with your templates on there. It becomes like a template where you can just use that over and over and over again and you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. It saves your font choices, it saves everything in there for you, so it makes it really easy and fast to create additional images. Whoops. So that's a tip that I've learned is that using that project area, I just moved all that around. Using that project area is really going to save you some time and energy because it allows you to move those elements around and sometimes you can use them on your canvas. Like let's say, whoops, I messed this up too. Let's say I want this on the canvas and I'm going to save this and post it. So I'm going to click on this bottom right corner and I'm going to save the image because I want that to be something that I post just like that. And then maybe I want to take off Blooming Sales Company. So I can move this on the canvas just up off of the canvas because you guys can see where my canvas is and then the rest is the artboard. So I'm going to move this to a different section of my artboard and it's not going to be part of my canvas. And then when I save this image again, it saves it without it. So you're only going to get the items that are on the canvas. You're not going to actually get the items that are on the artboard. So here's the canvas image that I saved with the name, without the name. And you guys, you saw in Phonto, I had other things on the artboard. Those things are not captured. It's only going to capture, it's not like a screen capture where it captures all of it. It's only going to capture what's on that canvas. So that's why the very first thing that you do when you come into Phonto is you set your canvas, because then it knows what parameters it should be working with. All right. I know that's a lot of information. If you've never designed anything before, that might be very overwhelming for you. I would encourage you to do some basic designs to get you started. Maybe take the designs that we have in the Blooming Sales Company group and just add your name to them, your name and email address and phone number or whatever you want to add. Just add your contact information to them so that you can kind of get used to using Phonto, centering everything up, picking out your fonts, picking out your colors. Those are kind of already done for you. Like a great one to start with is going to be that Express Party. So let me show you. If you were to come into Canvas and then you would say projects, and this Express Partier, this is a really simple one. It's already done for you basically. It already has a lot of the text on there. You're just going to add your name on here. Okay, so I'm going to type my name. Of course, that doesn't fit, so I'm going to make it even smaller. And then, whoops. That's my username for a lot of things, so my phone switches to that sometimes. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and center that up on there. I don't want to put my phone number on there, but look, you could put, I know some of you guys have like a little icon that you use. I know Kyla's really good about using her bee on stuff. So if she had that bee saved as an image, she could go ahead and put that image in here. So I don't have the bee saved as an image, but I do have the Phonto icon. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the Phonto icon in here on the phone. Look at that. And then of course I'm gonna tilt it so it doesn't look dumb. So I'm gonna tilt it so it lines up with the phone. And look, now it looks like the Phonto image is actually on my phone. See how that added some richness and some personality to it, and it was really not hard to do. I just put a little image on there. So I would encourage you to play with some of those default artwork boards that we already have up there for you. I'm sorry, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. So I would encourage you to play with some of those artboards that we already have on there, those images that we already have saved for you. Add your name, figure out, you know, if you want to put your team name on there or your website or your phone number, and just kind of brand some of those images and start using them so that you can make them your own to familiarize yourself with Phonto. Of course, I'm around if you guys have any questions about this or anything else. This is an amazing tool. There's a lot of power in this tool. Like I said, I started holding Facebook parties about 6.5 years ago, and all I had was Phonto. I do find a lot of the product images by just going to Tupperware.com. So if you go to Tupperware.com and then I usually shop by sale because I'm usually making memes for the sale items. So shop by sale and you will get good pictures that have a plain white background, just the product, and then you can drop those into whatever memes you want to make. So hopefully that helps you, and hopefully I didn't lose you too much. If you have Phonto and you want to play with it and you find yourself playing with it, let me know. Actually, you know what? Drop the first meme that you create or edit. Put that in the comments below, and everybody who does it, creates a meme or edits a meme in Phonto, everybody who drops an image in the next 24 hours, I'm going to do a drawing and I'm going to give away some goodies. It's going to be something tech related. So if you download Phonto, you don't have to pay for it to have all of there are some things you can do without paying for it, but I do recommend that you pay for it. So download Phonto, do an edit, your first edit or your first creation of a meme, drop it in the comments on this video in the next 24 hours, and I will do a drawing and give away something tech related for you. All right. I love you guys. I hope that you learned something new. And my next training session, I know we're getting late, so you guys are going to be watching on replay. My next training session is going to be all about building from 0 to $1 million. You guys, I built $1 million business in about 7 months. So this part of the business is really exciting for me. It's something that I know each and every one of you guys can do. And if you just follow the plan and follow the roadmap, you guys could each have $1 million business by the end of the year. Think about that. Wouldn't that be amazing? So tune in. I'm going to come back and I'm going to give myself probably about 30 minutes just to refresh my drink, go potty, those kind of things. And then I'll go live and talk to you all about how to build from 0 to $1 million. Talk to you soon. Bye.